can do, but there is a Banshee in play. The Stalkers are pretty strong against the Banshee, but the Banshee gets a couple of free shots in before the Stalkers move in, and you can see it's just not going that well for him. He really needs to micro that Stalker away, but he fails. The Banshee does survive, will no doubt be repaired. Meanwhile, out on the rest of the map, it looks like there's another small battle going on. The Colossus have come up. They've destroyed, along with their Zealot buddies, they've destroyed what remained of that Terran strike force, and the Terrans in the middle of the board are once again on the run. You can see the Zealots using their charge to hunt down and kill those Marauders.
Now, on the unit overlay, it's clear that this is not all that remains of the Terran army. There is a large force being created and amassing up in the Terran base. We can see that little blob of blue just moving across the map, and here they come. They're going to be chasing down those Zealots. The Zealots stand no chance against the number of Hellions that large.
Yeah, those Hellions have a very powerful flamethrower that can really do a lot of damage to light targets like those Zealots. You can see the Terran army is massing up there for a push. This is a pretty decent-sized force for the Protoss, but you can see what's going on with the Protoss, why their force is so small. They've been spending a lot of their resources on expanding over here to this high-yield area, building another base so you can collect some additional resources. This is very, very important for the Protoss player to stay in the game, to keep building additional resources, to keep his economy going. And here come the Banshees on the loose, flying around the map, looking to cause some trouble, and it looks like there's a single SCV from the Terrans scouting around, trying to make sure that the Protoss player is not expanding.
That's right. We have certainly seen David Kim's Banshees wreak havoc on Matt's expansions before, and here we go again. We're going to see these Banshees just getting control, trying to take out probes one by one. I mean, one attack from each of these Banshees on any of those probes, and they go down very quickly. We do see a Stalker brought into play, going to try to pressure those Banshees, but the Banshees are, of course, going to move away because they don't want it to get killed.
Yeah, so he wants to keep harassing them. He doesn't even take a lot of damage on them because he wants to keep the pressure up, and he knows there'll be more Stalkers warping in where those came from. And here comes this scout. This is incredibly important for the Terran player. He's going to spot this expansion now. There were a couple of cannons being built, but they're not up fast enough, and the SCV gets right inside. He's going to get a good look at that base, and here comes the Terran player. He wants to push now. He's moving in, trying to engage those Colossus, and it looks like he's managed to do a lot of damage to those units. Oh my god, one of the Colossus is taking just a beating from those Banshees. The Hellions are backing up under that withering fire, but still the Banshees are doing their damage. Oh, one of the Colossus goes down to the cloaked Banshees, and the last remaining Colossus is going to limp away, try to find some cover under the guns of his friendly Stalkers there, and looks like the cloak is still in play. There's no Observer nearby, and here comes the Observer. The Observer's moved in. Now the Banshees can be seen, and one is destroyed.
Ooh, what a good attack by the Terran player. And now that the Terran player is able to see this Protoss expansion, he's going to be moving over there with this large amount of Marauders. That is 12 Marauders, and an additional 4 Hellions are just absolutely going to be able to tear those cannons apart. There was a unit trying to be warped in, but he focused it during the 5 seconds that it was getting warped in and killed him before it was able to hatch.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like the Stalker's going to come in and try to bail the situation. But that's way too many Marauders for that Stalker. He hasn't got a lot of hope of dealing with the situation. And still no real practical way to deal with that many Banshees. He has dropped a number of them, but it looks like he has lost all of his Stalkers, and now the Colossus is trying to get to a position where it can fire at the Marauders, but it's just taking a pounding from those Banshees, and this base is going down. There goes the Nexus. That's just too many Marauders doing tons and tons of damage, especially the buildings, just tearing up the place while the Protoss desperately scramble to stay in this game.
Now, meanwhile, the Terran is just going to build another expansion. He wants to keep this one up, so he's just going to build another command center and take it on over to his natural expansion.
Yeah, and it looks like here come the Banshees in once again. Now, there's not actually a lot going on back here. Most of the probes have already left. They've moved off to other areas to resource. So those Banshees are going to do some damage, but not a lot. Meanwhile, at the front of the Protoss base, the Terrans are pressing in. The Protoss don't have a lot on the field. You can see they're not producing almost anything. There's only 3 Zealots being warped in right now compared to the large number of forces being created by the Terrans. And here come the workers moving out, trying to engage these Marauders. He's got to drive these Marauders away. Here comes some Zealots tearing away at the Marauders, and the probes are moving in, fighting off his wall. The Marauders are backing up, firing a shot, backing up, firing a shot, trying to kite these units away, trying to get as much damage as they can get in before they're brought down.
They just need to leave this force as beating as they possibly can, because right now David Kim is just trying to maintain the pressure while he continues production. We can see his resources are doing amazing. I mean, right now Matt Cooper's falling behind because he's using all of his probes to try and harass that the Marauder force.
And there go the probes back to production. Not very many left. It looks like he's got a couple of Zealots in play. He's very carefully trying to battle out against these Marauders. I don't think the Zealot's going to survive. It's going to be a very close battle between these two, and the Zealot wins narrowly with 17 hit points remaining. The Zealot is the victor. A very small victory for a very, very troubled Protoss player.
Wow, and David Kim is actually doing even better than we may have thought. He does have another expansion down in the bottom left of his base and has this huge, overwhelming force moving across the center of the map to seal the deal.
Yeah, and here is the trouble coming in for the Terran player, a huge force of Hellions and Marauders. There's really nothing on the ground that can stand up to this. He needs some air forces to deal with it, but he doesn't have them, and here comes the last of the Protoss defenders, desperately trying to stem the loss of life. He rushes the workers in, but the Hellions are the perfect counter. They tear through those workers and cut them all to pieces. This has really got to be the end of the game for the Protoss player. He's in a lot of trouble here. He's lost, and there's the GG. Matt Cooper conceding the game. Good game, he says, to David Kim.
So we just saw David Kim get in there with those Marauders and those Banshees and ultimately push Matt Cooper into a corner he just couldn't get out of.
Yeah, it was really tough on Matt. He really had some options to get out of that situation. He could have gone to the air. He could have gone with Phoenix. He could have gone with Warp Rays, but he just couldn't manage it in time, and he ultimately was overrun. You can see StarCraft 2 is such a challenging game for play. These players did a really great job at showing us what a very competitive match can look like.
Yeah, what a great game. Thanks for joining us in this StarCraft 2 Battle Report.